everybody. Welcome to our latest conversation on walking with moms in need. Today, Chelsea and I are going to be talking about the 5 phases of walking with moms in need that you can use at your parish. Chelsea, can you explain what the 5 phases are?
Absolutely, Kat. Great question. So, as those of you watching may already know, Walking with Moms in Need is recommended to be a year-long process. While that timeline is absolutely adaptable, it is broken up into essentially 5 phases of activity for parishes to complete. So, both the Parish Action Guide and the Parish Action Guide Summary, which is a condensed version of that, are both going to be organized based on these 5 phases of activity. So that once again, you can kind of go through it step by step. Each phase then is going to have more specific steps that you'll need to complete within that phase. And so once again, these resources are going to walk you through this step by step. So you've got this guide leading you throughout the process.
So it sounds like the 5 phases can be really helpful in breaking down the process so that there are different steps and that it's not too overwhelming and too all at once. You can kind of complete things little by little. Can you talk a little bit more about each of the 5 phases and what they look like?
Yes. So the 5 phases, as you'll kind of from a 30,000-foot view, a quick overview here to get a sense of the type of activities you'll be completing in each phase. So first of all, you're going to introduce Walking with Moms in Need in your parish and begin building that core team. Then you're going to launch the parish inventory process in phase two. And that's where things really start to get going. In phase three, you're going to be sharing those inventory results with your parish and then begin your assessment of the inventory and start planning for how your parish may want to respond. In phase four, you're going to announce and share with your parish your plans and commit to this parish-based response, once again, to fill the needs and to serve mothers in your community. And then in phase five, you're going to celebrate all the great work that you've done and then start implementing those plans that you've put together. So that's when you actually kind of finally get started in a lot of ways of and putting all this preparation and all of this effort that you've done so far into action. So next, we're going to take just a really quick look at each phase in a little bit more detail. So first of all, starting with phase one, as I mentioned, this is where you're going to introduce Walking with Moms in Need to your parish community, and you're going to start building that parish core team. So other things that you're going to do during phase one are going to include appointing a parish leader. Once again, assembling that core team. Another thing that you might want to do is start building a parish support network. And what that is a bigger team of individuals at your parish to pray for, to support you. Maybe people that don't have the capacity to be involved on the core team, but really want to be involved and support the mission of Walking with Moms in the parish. Once again, you're going to introduce this initiative to your parish. And we encourage you to really share the inspiration for Walking with Moms, which was a call from St. John Paul II in his encyclical Evangelium Vitae. We have resources to help you do that as well. And then once again, start planning for that first core team meeting. Once you've got the team assembled, start planning for what you're going to cover and how this is going to unfold. So that's a little kind of snapshot of what phase one looks like. You're really laying the foundation that you can build on in your parish. So let's take a look now at phase two. So phase two is when things really start to get going. This is when we're going to launch the parish inventory process. So this is when you're going to finally meet with your core team for the first time. You've probably been assembling different members and volunteers kind of slowly as you've rolled this out and started to, once again, lay that foundation. This is when we're finally going to meet together and get things started. This is a great time to reach out to your diocese as a team and to gather resources and information that you need to know, once again, to plan how you're going to start implementing this in your parish. During phase two is also where you're going to review that inventory tool to see what it looks like, what you're going to need to do. So this is a great time to review that. Then you're going to start that inventory process. And through all of these phases, we're also always encouraging our parish to pray for mothers in need, because prayer is the foundation of all the work we're going to do. And so once again, you've reviewed the inventory, you kind of know what it's asking of you, you've got your core team together, you have your resources and support from the diocese. And at the end of phase 2 is when you're going to begin that inventory process and really complete that, and start doing that research, making those phone calls, and filling that in. So then we get to phase 3. Phase 3 is probably one of the meatiest phases of activity. There's a lot going on. So you've started your inventory during phase 3. You might still continue to add to that and to do some research. But this is when the inventory is completed and you're going to review and evaluate those findings. So you're going to take time to gather with your core team, look at the inventory and see what this information tells you. What resources are easily accessible, widely available, and which ones did you have trouble finding in your area? So this is going to be, once again, a important part of that process to, once again, evaluate the information once you have it. Then you're going to start thinking about ways that your parish could respond. Once you kind of see the gaps, you're also going to start thinking and praying about what you could do to fill those gaps. So we have lots of sample ideas. We have different models that you can adapt in our parish action guide. So this is a great time to review those. Then you're also going to, once again, we want to carry our parish with us along this. We don't want this to just be limited to those on the core team. We want to share updates and announcements throughout. So we're going to share with our parish that we've completed the inventory process, and invite them to come to a parish-wide meeting where you're going to share those results and your findings, and ask for their input on how to best to respond. So you're going to plan for that meeting, you're going to host that meeting, and then after that, you'll get feedback and start determining what your next steps are. So once again, there's a lot of prayerful discernment that takes place during phase 3. And this is another time also where you're going to want to take a step back and start looking at how your plans are going to be communicated to moms in need too. This is a great time to start thinking about those strategies. So like I said, lots going on in phase 3. Now phase 4, this is where you're going to announce and commit to that parish response. You've done a lot of the research, you've done the planning, you've done the assessment, you've done a lot of discernment. Phase 4, we're really closing in on, once again, making those decisions and moving forward. So you're going to come up with an idea for how your parish wants to respond. And maybe that's starting a new ministry. Maybe that's a new communications effort. Maybe it's partnering with your local pregnancy center in a new way. Whatever you decide to do, that's when you're going to start sharing this with your parish. As always, we're going to continue to pray for moms throughout this time and to pray for our efforts. This is another time where you're going to gather the parish together after you've gotten their feedback during phase 3, and you're going to share with them the decision that you've made alongside your pastor of how your parish is going to respond. So it's another time to gather the wider parish back in and bring them into this and give them another update. Once again, in phase 3, we started thinking about our communications plan, but in phase 4, we're really going to develop that more fully and start to implement it. And then you're just going to start getting your plans going. Whatever you've decided as your parish response, you're going to start taking actions to put that into action. And then finally, phase 5, it may seem like this is the end, but really phase 5 in so many ways is really the beginning of serving moms in your community. And so we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate what you've done as a parish, as a core team, and all the progress you've made. So we really encourage you to have a parish celebration. And we've got ideas for that and how you can do that in the action guide. And so we also want you to host this, once again, parish-wide. And then this is a great way to recruit additional volunteers as you get going. And you're going to continue, once again, implementing those parish plans. So during the celebration, you can give parishioners an update of how things are going, what progress you've made, and then, once again, plans for the future and invite them into that in different ways that they can participate as you, once again, start serving moms in need in your community.
Well, thank you so much for this great overview, Chelsea, of all of the different phases and how that can be implemented at the parish. We hope everyone listening that this gave you a sense of how Walking with Moms in Need works and that you're inspired to do this right where you are.